American Airlines, something special in the air. Sprint, not just another phone company. Of the German national team, and in just a couple of minutes, the defending World Cup champions will get set to take on Brazil. Let's look at the standings of U.S. Cup 93 as we head into this third contest. 2 games have been played. Brazil with a win, the U.S. with a win and a loss. And the Brazilian win tie came over the United States, a 2-0 victory.
Yes, in the early going, it's Branco with a free kick. He's able to set up, look all the way to the opposite side, and racing through is Márcio Santos. Everyone thought he was offside. You see Miola signal it, but there's no call, and then the great Careca zips in at the near post to put the goal away, 1-0 for Brazil. Then later on in the game, Dunga having some time to look up, floats a beautiful ball in behind the U.S. defense. Vink runs onto it, slots it past Tony Miola. A great performance for Brazil.
All right, Germany playing their first game of the tournament. It's coming up next against Brazil. We'll be right back with the lineups. Welcome back to RFK Stadium in the nation's capital, Washington, D.C. It is indeed Game 3 of U.S. Cup 93. Here's the lineups for Brazil with Taikio.
Taffarel in goal. Number 2, Jorginho plays at Bayern Munich. An interesting fact there. We go to Brazil's midfield and attackers. You look in there and you have Rai, number 21. He'll be the captain. He plays for Sao Paulo. And number 9, Careca, the leading scorer for Brazil in the 1986 World Cup. Köpke will be in goal. He's taken Ilgner's place. And also Matthias Sammer, a very good player going forward out of the back. For Germany in the midfield, Effenberg, an elegant midfielder. Matthäus, number 10, is the captain. Christian Ziege will play the first time ever for Germany. And Jürgen Klinsmann, he's their great goal scorer.
And there is Lothar Matthäus, number 10. Arguably the best soccer player in the world, certainly with the best soccer team in the world. Germany, the defending World Cup champions from 1990 at Italia, where they defeated the then reigning champions, Argentina, in the final. Today, the Brazilian fans are out in full force. Those from here in the Washington, D.C. area, others who have traveled for U.S. Cup 93. Always a large entourage following the Brazilians wherever they go around the globe. There's Bertie Voets, the former outstanding player for his country, now the head coach of the German national team. He will take them to the World Cup, and it will be the first time for him as a coach as he replaced the legendary Franz Beckenbauer after 1990.
Bertie Voets, of course, with 96 caps for the West German team. That's when it was West Germany. Now it's Germany.
And we are underway. U.S. Cup 93, Game 3, arguably Taikio, the most illustrious matchup of this tournament. Brazil, always a powerhouse in South America, and the reigning world champions, Germany. Brazil in the gold and navy, and attacking right to left. They have the ball right now, and they do great things with the ball, as we saw in Game 1 of this tournament in a 2-0 victory over the United States. Matthäus in midfield, trying to control for Germany. It comes free, and now it's Matthäus on the ball, playing it back to Stefan Effenberg, number 2 on the German defense. A searching ball to the edge of the box. Klinsmann trying to get there ahead of Jorginho. And it will go out for goal kick Brazil.
There, the Brazilian coach, Pereira, he's very pleased with the Brazilian performance against the United States. This is the big matchup, though. He's going after the reigning World Cup champions. And in most people's books, this game we're watching here will most likely decide the winner of U.S. Cup 93.
Brazil's outstanding midfielder, Branco, with the left-footed pass. Valdeir keeps it in under some pressure from Thomas Helmer. The Brazilians, no doubt, with a little bit of an edge here today from several standpoints. Number one, they've played a game in the tournament and are a little more acclimated to the weather, and that's the second big factor here today. It is very hot and very humid here in Washington. Temperatures in the mid-90s at kickoff, 93 degrees, with the humidity at 76% and a mild breeze out of the southeast at 6 to 10 miles per hour. And this has to favor the Brazilians, and they are on the attack now. Rai, number 21, at the edge of the box. Cross far post, but Elivélton is late to get to that. And it's headed out by Effenberg, and now a corner kick for Brazil.
Stefan Effenberg, who we just saw there, plays for Fiorentina in the Italian First Division. As do quite a few of the players from each of these two teams.
And this is the aforementioned Branco, a strong left-footed player, and one would suspect, Ty, as he lines it up here, that this ball would swing out to the far post. Indeed it does. Running onto it is number 14, Márcio Santos, and it will go out for German possession.
Actually, he bent it just a bit the other way with the outside of the left. He's had all kinds of tricks with that left foot, known for that, especially on set pieces, as we saw there. But when I mentioned before, many players on each of these two teams playing in the Italian First Division, where the highest salaries are paid.
5 players on the German roster in this game play in the Italian Serie A, as they refer to it there. It is their premier division and arguably the best division of soccer on the globe. Branco upended by Andreas Möller and a foul given.
Möller from Juventus in the Italian league. An exciting midfielder. Tremendous speed and shooting ability from the midfield.
He's a holdover from the World Cup champion team.
Here we see the foul. Branco trying to shield the ball, instead gets cracked by Andy Möller.
Now Branco wants some support from the referee, feeling the wall is not the sufficient 10 yards back. Wide of the net, and it's punched away by the German keeper, Andreas Köpke.
Not shy about taking the shot from well outside the area. That was a loaded ball.
Branco again. And now taken over by the German. Number 16, Sammer.
We're going to see the free kick. Branco, a good run up, strokes straight through the ball, gets all of it. This thing's picking up speed as it goes. There's some swerve to it. And Köpke gets to it with the fist. He doesn't want to just put his hand behind it because it may go through his hands.
Germany on the attack. Long searching ball played up for Möller. Andreas Möller, number 7, looks back into the penalty area for support. Now chipped back. And Sammer unable to control it. Elivélton for Brazil. As you see the time played, we are early in the match. Júlio César, number 3, to the far side for Brazil. This is their second meeting within a recent span of time. These two teams met in December in Brazil, and the Brazilians came away with a victory. And here's a break for Brazil. Elivélton going over Köpke, shot kicked away. Guido Buchwald, number 6 there with a great save, Ty.
And it goes back to Dungas, a slicing pass through the German defense. And Elivélton, who has tremendous speed, gets it past Köpke, and it's Buchwald who slides across and saves the almost sure goal.
Now Branco back to the action, sets for the corner. Into the middle, flicked away, now a loose ball and cleared by Effenberg. Jürgen Klinsmann almost created a diabolical situation in his own penalty area there with that flick of the ball back, but the Germans were able to recover.
But again, we see the danger coming from Branco in the set pieces. That corner kick, it is struck with the outside of his foot so that it changes directions in midair. Very difficult for the German defenders to read.
The Brazilians certainly with the edge in the early going as Jürgen Klinsmann.
Here's Elivélton, who had broken completely through and sidesteps the German keeper. Now he takes a crack at the goal, and the German defense covering up well. Buchwald, that time, number 6.
Lothar Matthäus. This is Möller controlling to Effenberg. Tries to give him the return pass, and a poor one as Dunga intercepts. Well, this has been a rich tradition between these two teams in friendly matches. But interestingly, Ty, in the great legacy of these two teams in World Cup play, they've never met in a World Cup match.
Exactly. Despite the fact that each of these teams have won 3 World Cup competitions, they've not met specifically in the World Cup itself, the World Cup finals. But as recently as December, they played a friendly in Porto Alegre, Brazil, in which Brazil dominated and somewhat embarrassed the Germans by a 3-1 score.
Klinsmann chasing it down, but it's taken back by Márcio Santos. Now Valdeir. The Germans applying some of their midfield pressure now to try and turn things as early and as gone for Brazil. Kohler. This is a veteran German defense, and of course the foundation of all German teams is built around a blue-collar workman-like ethic, which is usually founded in their back line.
Between Kohler and Buchwald, you've got two guys that stand about 6'3", very powerful in the air, very disciplined defenders. In fact, Kohler is a teammate of Júlio César, his counterpart in the Brazilian team at Juventus in the Italian First Division.
What you won't see from either of these teams, Ty, from a standpoint of style, is the long, searching 30 or 40-yard ball, which the English team, their style employs.
You'll see these teams, generally speaking, build at midfield, as we're looking at here.
Stefan Effenberg, as Ty mentioned, plays for Fiorentina in the Italian league and has been under tremendous criticism as Sammer battles for a ball with Branco. Branco, with good skills, gets a round of applause from the Brazilians gathered here. To finish on Effenberg, his family is under police guard at the moment back in Italy. They have received death threats from Italian fans just based on Effenberg's play recently.
Fiorentina had a bad year. That's hard to believe.
I guess a real bad year, evidently. Not to make light of the series.
No, it's a shame. It's a shame that it reaches those proportions.
Matthäus now, as the Germans try to get organized here, and they are known for their great organization, but early on here, Ty, the Brazilians have sort of had them on their heels.
Also, what the Germans are trying to accomplish here is to settle the game down a bit. They didn't want to get into a run-and-gun match with the Brazilians, particularly in this heat. So if they can get the ball now and hold it a bit, it takes some of that pressure off.
These game conditions, not unlike what one would expect in Rio de Janeiro in the summer season. And that has to play to the favor of Brazil, although talking to some of the German players yesterday in their training session where the conditions were similar, if not hotter, they agreed that occasionally in Germany it reached these type of conditions in the summer, but that's their off-season, so they would never have played much in it.
And they're barely getting into their summer, too, so they've not seen much of this year.
No score here in the first half. Brazil and Germany in their first meeting since December, but their 14th meeting overall, and it has been a series over the years dominated by Brazil. Elivélton looking for room, couldn't find it. Now Careca. Careca with one of the two goals against the United States, as you saw in our open. Up the right side, and a great opportunity for Valdeir, but it was knocked down by the German defense.
Unquestionably, these are great athletes who can adapt to various conditions, including heat, and they're so highly trained. I looked at them early on warming up for this game. These guys can handle just about anything.
Here's Matthäus. Matthäus recently having come off a serious knee injury where he tore ligaments in his right knee, playing in a game for Inter in the Italian First Division. And he spent the typical 6-month period of rehabilitation. And since has gone back to Germany in a transfer to Bayern Munich, his original team from which he left to go to Germany. Feed up the left side. That was intended for Sammer. This is number 8 for Brazil, Luisinho. Came in late against the U.S., but gets the start today, and understandably so.
And the armband.
Raí, a premier forward for the Brazilian team.
And also for Sao Paulo, who won the World Club Championship, also called the Intercontinental Cup, largely due to his efforts.
The other striker of note for Brazil that fans of the international game will, of course, recognize is that of Bebeto. But Bebeto is not on the trip, not part of the roster for this U.S. Cup team. But for the most part, with a few exceptions, both these teams very strong tied for this tournament.
This is an important tournament. They want to establish that they can play well on U.S. soil due to the importance of the upcoming World Cup.
Branco, Möller trying to dispossess him of the ball and commits the foul.
Möller, normally known for his attacking abilities out of midfield, this time he's been spending a lot of his energies trying to keep tabs and contain Branco's forays down the left side.
In goal for the Brazilians, number 1, Taffarel. He is the only foreign goalkeeper playing in the Italian First Division, and interestingly doesn't start for his team Parma, but he starts for the Brazilian team. Careca, as the Brazilians knock it around as they're prone to do. Now a flick left side. Elivélton gets around Effenberg. Elivélton trying to
Brazilians have exploded through the German defense, and they did it using the speed and the explosive change of pace of Elivélton. The ball played through from Dunga here. We'll see. It played through, and Rai controls it and then splits the German defense. And look at the acceleration by Elivélton. He's bumped. He keeps his balance, still gets the ball through, and then running onto it is Luisinho, who blasts it towards the goal off the German defender. But the credit for the goal will go to Luisinho. And there's Rai placing it through to Elivélton, who's on the full sprint, sneaking in behind the German defense. And this ball goes loose. Luisinho will pounce on it here, as we see with the left foot, and it goes in off the German defense.
Get another look at it here, Ty. From this angle, perhaps we'll be able to see it may in fact have gone in off of a German defender. It took a wicked spin on the attempt to feed through here by Elivélton to get past Effenberg right there. And now let's watch.
It did, though. I believe it was Buchwald.
Yes, I believe you. Well, no, it was not. It was Helmer, number 3, that the ball evidently went in off, which would give an own goal to the Brazilians. To the live action inside the penalty area, and the Germans now trying to get an attack going. They trail 1-0, and we are early. That game coming in the 7th minute.
I don't believe they'll count that as an own goal. That just deflects off of him. That's not as if he directed it towards his own goal.
Check that, not the 7th minute. Given some incorrect information.
13th minute, most likely.
Nothing Brazil. And at least it was on the shot by Luisinho. And now the Brazilians with it again, Jorginho. Matthäus with the intercept, and now the Germans. And unceremoniously upended is Matthäus by Dunga.
Have another look at the goal. We'll see actually who it went off of, but the main play here is Rai pushing the ball just at the right time for Elivélton, and Elivélton is able to keep his balance here despite the challenge. Now look at Luisinho pounce on this ball. It's past the keeper, and it goes off the right foot of Thomas Helmer, trying to defend, but he's just trying to get into the best position possible. It's barely a reaction. It goes off his foot. Not much you can do. You almost have to congratulate a guy for hustling to get back there. They'd already saved one off the line previously.
Awfully unfair, really, to give an own goal there because of the great effort of both Elivélton and Luisinho.
The only reason that you might is that I believe Luisinho's shot may have gone wide had it not been deflected.
So as they did to the United States, Brazil strikes early here, and that often changes the complexion of a game. But one would suspect less so from Germany's standpoint than from a less experienced team such as the United States.
They've been in these situations many times before. A moment ago, before the replay, we saw Dunga with a crunching tackle at midfield. One of his nicknames in Italy, where he plays as well, is Dunga the Destroyer. And we saw why there.
Brazil in the golden with the ball. Dunga. Márcio Santos feeding it across. Valdeir is brought down, and that'll be a foul against the Germans, and another free kick opportunity, this time from the right side for Germany. There's Helmer, whose foot the ball went into the net. Helmer played the sweeper position for his club team at Dortmund before transferring to Bayern Munich, and he's been forced back into that sweeper role today due to an injury in training yesterday to the normal sweeper for Germany, Olaf Thon, who dislocated his shoulder in practice. You dislocate your shoulder doing that, too.
That's what I was about to say.
Here's Effenberg.
But the goal, in fact, by the Brazilians, normally when you think of an own goal, it's a sloppy play. It was a well-conceived attack by the Brazilians, which was finished off by Luisinho.
Taffarel. Buchwald will go all the way to the end line to collect that for Germany. Taffarel, obviously evidently the best goalkeeper Brazil has really had since Gilmar, their great goalkeeper who led them to their World Cup championships.
It's been a problem for Brazil, really. They've not matched up normally in the goalkeeping department as opposed to the rest of their team that they've fielded through the years. But Taffarel, the exception, he's well known around the world as one of the top keepers that we've seen over the last 6-7 years.
played up for number 17, Christian Ziege, and he's unable to get it. The Germans come back on a throw-in. There's Ziege, and he is making his international debut for Germany today. Only 23 years of age, and what a thrill it has to be for him to play for his country for the first time. Rather surprise start for Germany. We expected Karl-Heinz Riedle. Here's Effenberg with a break into the middle. Oh, and what a chance for Klinsmann, and he is disappointed in himself for the miss there.
You don't get many closer chances than that at this level. And Klinsmann misstruck the ball. Had a clear open net to shoot at. Plenty of space there. And that one he'll be thinking about for some time to come, unless he's able to come up with a different one.
Jürgen Klinsmann, the veteran now of 49 internationals for Germany, and those are the opportunities that Jürgen Klinsmann usually puts away. Comes into this game with 13 goals for Germany over his career. He was brilliant in the World Cup last year, and he was one of their outstanding forwards also at the European Championships 1 year ago.
He just seemed to mistime that bounce as it came across. He had a good stab at it. Here's the play. It's a good through ball, penetrating the Brazilian defense. It's run out to look at the kick by Branco, but it's cut back. See, the bounce was a funny bounce. It had topspin on it, but still, he had such a large portion of the goal to shoot at with the full instep that he had using the side of his foot. So the ball played through here. This is some great stuff. And it's cut back, and Klinsmann just hits it there. And in fact, Márcio Santos ends up saving it and clearing it off the line.
Back to the live action. Möller in midfield, blindly feeding for Klinsmann, but taken back by the Brazilians. Jorginho, beautiful skills.
And he's a defender. No problem going forward.
Ziege, the youngster, and has Klinsmann supporting him.
Ziege showing us there why perhaps he's been given the nod today by birdie votes. Really taking off down that far side with some long strides and getting past the Brazilian defense.
Ziege plays for Bayern Munich in Germany. And as we mentioned, this is his first ever game for his country. And what a thrill for that to come against an opponent such as Brazil. You might have expected Germany to save him for a game against what are arguably lesser opponents in England or the U.S., this being Germany's first match, but they wanted to give the young man an opportunity, and so far he hasn't disappointed. Here is Lothar Matthäus on the corner kick. Taffarel bobbling it, and a nervous moment there for the Brazilian defense. Rai. Now Effenberg trying to control for Germany. Puts one up. Klinsmann there, but not able to reach it in time. And now Elivélton. Good idea by Valdeir. There's number 4 for the Germans, Jürgen Kohler, as it comes out.
That illustrates something that could become an issue in this game. Kohler, 6'3", long legs. He's matched up there with Valdeir, who's about 5'7", and darts about, jags, changes directions. It's a bit of a mismatch. The Brazilians known for keeping the ball on the ground, and arguably one of Kohler's strongest attributes is his strength in the air. Will the Germans have trouble with the short Brazilians and their ability to change directions?
Elivélton again getting away from a tackle by Effenberg, who has been very unlucky back there, and particularly so on the goal. Matthias Sammer looking for Klinsmann. Beautifully placed ball, but read very well by Jorginho. 1-0 Brazil. Unofficially, a little over 23 minutes to go in the first half. A warm, sweltering day here in Washington, D.C., with temperatures in the mid-90s and the threat of thunderstorms before the game is over. Good block by Buchwald.
Júlio César really out of his element there coming forward. He took too long to shoot.
And again, down at the other end, Ziege trying to penetrate the Brazilian defense. Sammer, nice tackle as he takes the ball back. Matthias Sammer, one of the recipients of the benefit of unification in Germany, a former East German star, and when unification occurred, he had the opportunity to play for the unified German team and has found a regular spot now.
as if Germany wasn't already the strongest team in the world.
And the other element that unification gives Bertie Voets is a tremendous one. He has some fresh blood on the team, players that haven't won a World Cup. They haven't experienced the excitement, the thrill, and he injects that enthusiasm into a veteran team that's already been there. It's a very important element for any team attempting to repeat. Nothing Brazil. Dunga, as the Brazilians slow it down for a while, and they are known for their change of pace and their almost lazy attitude to the game at times, but then in the blink of an eye they will dart. And
except when they decide to do differently, and you guess when it's going to be.
Good crowd on hand here in Washington, D.C. 30,000 plus for sure. There have been outstanding crowds throughout this U.S. Cup tournament, with the biggest expected so far to come in Chicago when the U.S. plays Germany for the first time ever. And they're talking about a crowd at Soldier Field that may reach 60,000, which will be an all-time record for that city hosting soccer of any kind. Chicago, of course, to host the opening game of the World Cup in '94. On the free kick.
Plenty of power there by Júlio César. Not much accuracy. Overpowering it, in fact.
And we hope you're enjoying our coverage and the aspect of it that you may find unique as an American sports viewer, and that is that we are not taking commercial breaks, which will also occur during the World Cup.
We're seeing all of it, including this attempt by Júlio César. Again, he has all the power that's necessary to try and drive that ball on goal, but he got under it a bit and sent it well over the bar.
Kick coming down in midfield, and the Brazilians have control once again. Germans, who like to play a possession game perhaps of a different nature than Brazil, have been unable to really get a rhythm going so far. It's been the Brazilians with the upper hand, although Klinsmann with a glorious opportunity about 5 minutes ago. And now a foul called on Effenberg.
The game will be battled out at midfield. We have a partisan fan here, leaning one way. Here's the foul coming. Luisinho's bumped after the play. And the free kick, and the Brazilians always so dangerous from free kick situations, so creative in these situations. They've got a whole arsenal of weapons they can use. They've gone to Branco down this left side, wisely so.
Certainly 35 yards is not out of his range.
No. Brilliant and powerful and accurate left foot.
Up by Buchwald.
No lack of ambition there.
Check that, it was Kohler, and it'll be throw in Brazil.
Future Zico.
Now Brazil on the attack once more. And a little juggling display by Careca. Oh, what a show he put on for us right there. And the fans love it. He did it to the Brazilian side of the stadium. He tried to.
He planned that, came over to their side, and they'll be dancing for the next 15 minutes just because of that.
It's worth the price of admission for those Brazilian faithful.
This is tremendous to be able to see a player of his stature put on a little show for the fans. Keeps the ball in the air, on his thighs, on his feet the entire time, while holding on at least one German defender. In fact, one of the best defenders in the world, Jürgen Kohler, he won't go near him. He's afraid to put a foot in because Careca might slip it the other way. How many touches, Randy? Must have been at least a dozen.
My colleague Ty Keogh regularly performing that feat in his U.S. national team career. Another free kick, far post, headed out. And now Dunga will control for Brazil again.
Yeah, but that was before practice.
Jorginho back for Brazil. They continue to keep the pressure on here in the first half, hoping, I would think, to wear this German team down in the humidity and heat here. And they have the benefit of a 1-0 lead.
They've had most of the possession, in particular, at midfield. And that's where most games are decided. We've got some Argentine fans. Another country with a rich soccer history. In fact, have won World Cups.
Michael Zorc, a newcomer to the German squad. If you were a follower of them in 1990, he was not in the team then, from Borussia Dortmund. made his debut in the game against Brazil several months ago and has not missed a start since, and that was the 3-1 loss. So despite the losing team performance, Bertie Vogts impressed with number 8 Zorc. And here is number 6 Branco. This time from 32 yards. Dipping shot. Köpke not having to move much off his mark, but still a ball with considerable pace on it.
You can't take your eye off of it. Also, you need to make sure that you keep your whole body behind it, because it may change directions at the last minute. Branco again, straight through the ball. It starts to swerve. You'll see it jump a little bit. It's like a knuckleball in baseball, and he still didn't hold it quite. But that's why he gets the body behind it in case he doesn't hold it completely with his hands.
The samba mantra continues here at RFK, and the Brazilians feeding off it. They've dominated, and they lead 1-0.
They don't seem to have a problem at all adjusting to the temperature, but perhaps the Germans do.
Márcio Santos looking for Elivélton, and Effenberg slipping there again. And Effenberg has been awfully busy on the flank, but has struggled a little bit there too.
He's a player who, with his club team, mainly plays as a central midfielder. He's not as comfortable out wide as you're seeing him used today by Bertie Vogts.
A stabbing pass. Now Careca back through the middle. And Rai trying to run onto it just in time. The German defense in support.
Effenberg did cover well defensively there, though. Rai, who is Socrates' younger brother, the great Brazilian midfielder who entertained us all in a couple of World Cups.
Sammer held, but play goes on. And now he would have almost wished to have the free kick after it turned out that way. Here's Rai. Rai gets it back after creating it with a nice play. Careca pushed it wide. And shot wide by Rai.
What about the great control by Careca? We get another look at that one. You'll see his ability at a full run to be able to collect the ball on his chest and keep the attack alive. He had already collected on his chest and then played it through to Rai, who then shot wide. But a beautiful attack by the Brazilians.
Ty, you and I had the opportunity last World Cup to broadcast the Argentina-Brazil second round game, which Argentina won 1-0 and knocked Brazil out. This is a much more exciting, electrifying approach to their game, much more reminiscent of their successful tenure from the late 50s to 1970.
It seems to be a team that feels freer to be able to play and have fun, as opposed there was too much structure imposed on that Brazilian team in 1990. They were trying to adapt their style to the European standard, and I think what they've decided now is to go back to what has worked for them, and that is to play this free-flowing samba rhythm, open style.
Yet reflecting on that game, and those who remember it, Brazil,
they could have won it by 4 or 5 goals if they had any luck, really.
Outchanced Argentina tremendously. Here's a chance for Elivélton. Effenberg back, and he brings Elivélton down in a penalty. It's Jürgen Helmer.
Rai pushes the ball through, and Elivélton has such a great change of pace. He's in behind all the German defenders. The sweeper Helmer comes all the way over and goes for the ball, misses the ball, so he's late, takes the man instead. The penalty is called, and it goes back to something I mentioned a moment ago. Can the German defenders, who are tall and long-legged, deal with the quickness and change of pace that the Brazilian attackers possess? And in that situation, Helmer could not, and ended up causing the penalty. We look again, the captain Rai slotting the ball through nicely with the outside of the right foot. It's a perfectly paced pass. Elivélton, with that extra little burst of speed, gets past Helmer, but then gets the ball past Helmer, but then Helmer clips his legs, and we have the penalty about to be taken by Careca.
So to the penalty spot we go now, and a chance for Brazil to double their lead. Köpke set, as is number 9.
Shades of Porto Alegre last December. where Brazil outclassed the reigning World Cup champions Germany by the score of 3-1. It's 2-0 here now. Here's Careca lining up the penalty, and he gets Köpke to go the wrong way and sends it high, in fact dangerously high. I'd like to keep a little bit more down than that. Careca looking casual as he approaches it. A little bit of a fake. He sees the keeper leaning the other way, goes to the near side. But a gutsy call by the referee in some respects, because when Elivélton breaks through, he doesn't have a great chance to go to goal. He's out on the side of the penalty area, but I give the referee credit for making the call anyway.
2-0 Brazil. Here in the first half, you see time gone in the opening 45-minute session. And Careca, with the goal, keeps together a tremendous string. In this, his 60th appearance for his country, he nets his 30th goal, scoring one every other game. At this level, that is one heck of a ratio. He's proven himself at many levels, including in the Italian First Division, where he teamed up with Maradona at Napoli for 3 years. What an attacking duo they were. Careca with 5 goals in the '86 finals and then 2 in 1990. And the disappointment of the loss to Argentina, in which he had several glorious opportunities. And now looking onward to '94 for a chance to atone. And atone he has here in this game against Germany. 2-0 Brazil leading, and they have clearly dominated play from the opening whistle. And now Bertie Voets must devise a way to climb out of what's a deepening hole here at RFK. And we're still in the first half.
You're still dealing with conditions well into the 90-degree level temperature, full sun on the field. Not really what the Germans are used to.
You suggested, Ty, coming in, that the winner of this game may in fact be the winner of the U.S. Cup. It has shaped that way with England's loss to the United States and Brazil's opening game win against the U.S. Should Germany fall here, it would be difficult to catch Brazil. As the Brazilians continue to put on a show.
Could be a long afternoon for some of the German defenders and midfielders chasing the ball as the Brazilians stroke it about so nicely.
Matthäus with a rare touch of the ball, and then the obstruction foul given. One more look at the penalty kick.
It's Careca, of course, all of his World Cup experience behind him. A bit of pressure here, though, because that makes a big difference. A 2-goal lead, and the momentum stays with Brazil.
Careca, whose father, Antoninho, played with Pele's father, Donadinho, in Brazil. Part of that country's soccer lore as Kohler breaks through, but it's cleared away quickly by Márcio Santos. Now the Germans attack from the left. Ziege trying to find some space on the left wing as play continues in the midfield. Effenberg. Branco. Could be a fatal mistake. And Taffarel just scooping it up ahead of Jürgen Klinsmann.
And Effenberg just barely missing, clicking with Klinsmann there at the near post. Klinsmann racing there to try and tip it in before Taffarel could scoop it up. But not quite there in time.
Effenberg, while he gambles, certainly helps the German offense coming all the way up that right wing. Helmer back, and it will be goal kick for Köpke.
Going back to the play that resulted in the penalty for Brazil, Elivélton, a young player who's not even broken into the starting lineup yet for his club team, Sao Paulo. But Pereira, the Brazilian coach, likes him, and you know why he likes him. You saw that extra burst of speed that he seems to hold in reserve and save for those situations is what put the German defense in trouble and caused them to take him down.
It seems almost a universal, valuable asset, speed, no matter what the sport.
And in soccer, it's even more so a change of speed. In other words, be able to suddenly accelerate to catch the defense off.
Buchwald now for Germany. Through for Matthias Sammer. Sammer watched by Dunga. Sammer with a good job to shield Dunga from the ball. Zorc, and that is cleared out. 2-0. Brazil leads. Under 8 minutes to go here, first half. Be sure to stay with us at halftime. We will visit with the greatest Brazilian star in the history of the sport, Pelé.
The greatest star in the world for quite a few years, in fact.
He would be very, and I'm sure is wherever he's watching this game, be very proud of the effort here in the opening half. Zorc for Germany. Far post Klinsmann there with help, but it's mismeasured by Zorc. Knuckling ball and Taffarel there.
A little bit of a deflection there. Also, it can be treacherous for goalkeepers.
Were it not for Klinsmann's occasional opportunity, Taffarel has had little work, but Klinsmann miscuing early really could have changed the face of this game at that point and tied it up. As it is, the Brazilians with a 2-goal lead. Ball through and a chance for Brazil. They score! Luisinho!
All it takes is a creative little flick of the ball. And this time it was Careca, in fact, who set up Luisinho. Just a beautifully conceived play again. They have so many ideas in their attack. The ball slipped through here, played back. Look at this. Total composure on the ball. Now this is the flick by Careca. Luisinho's on the sprint. He's not offside because when the ball was played, he was still at least even with the last back. And he beats Köpke easily. And this could turn into a rout.
Helmer unable to stay with his man.
This is the flick by Careca. He's got eyes in the back of his head directly onto the run of Luisinho. He didn't even have to break stride. And now he takes his time, pushes the ball slightly over the diving goalkeeper, Köpke. And it's 3-0 for Brazil. But that's a lovely attack right up the center of the German defense where you would think they would be strongest. But the Brazilians have that kind of skill to make it through in very tight spaces.
Köpke with, again, little chance.
Now the guy's all the way through. He's got time to look up.
Well, for fear of exaggeration, this is a rather shocking result so far. Certainly Brazil capable of this, but one wouldn't have expected the number of goals so early.
Now, the Germans renowned around the world for their discipline, for their organization, and their ability to play a solid 90 minutes without any sort of lags in their play. And here they've been broken down 3 different times. It's so unusual, and we should remark upon it.
Of course, one of the goals coming off the penalty kick, but Luisinho now with 2 goals for Brazil on the day. They did give him credit on the initial goal that indeed went off of Thomas Helmer, but rightfully so, a Brazilian got credit for the goal because of the really fine work done by Elivélton on that goal. But that time it was Luisinho from Careca.
So Elivélton involved twice. Careca involved twice on goals. Everybody getting into the act.
No pun intended, but the Brazilians not missing a beat.
There are fans all over the world come out to see the Brazilian. Birdie Votes here discussing with Rainer Bonhoff, a former World Cup champion himself. He played in '74 for the West German side. They hope to make some changes, adjustments, if not to win this game, at least to improve their performance so they can gain some confidence for the next one.
This is only the 3rd game of 1993 for this Brazilian national team. They'll have a very aggressive schedule from this point on as they'll begin qualification process within about another month or so. But right now they look like a very cohesive unit. Sammer missing, and then Klinsmann.
This puts the United States loss to Brazil 4 days ago in a completely different light, if you think about it. That was a 2-0 score, and the second goal didn't come until almost the last 5 minutes of play.
If the game were to end now, the Germans would have suffered a more severe beating than the U.S., and not a person in the stadium would have predicted that, I would suspect. Sammer through now for Buchwald. Up by Möller and high, and that's one of the rare opportunities opportunities the Germans have created out of the midfield in a while.
It is worth a try. They've not been able to generate much else. Shooting is something that can open up a defense. They need to at least threaten from outside. That's the idea behind that shot.
Ty, a point worth mentioning here as we take another look at the shot by Möller. The Germans, as defending champions, do not have to qualify, and it makes it awfully difficult for them to get good opponents throughout the period between World Cups.
Well, here they've got one. Not making much use of it, but your point well taken. It also makes it difficult for them perhaps to be completely motivated in games down the road because they're going to be here no matter what.
Talking with some of the visiting German press, they said Bertie Boats calls this a big game. We say, why is it a big game? It means nothing. We're already in the World Cup, and we don't have to be ready for another year. But I would suspect back in Germany, this one, if it ends up being this severe a beating, it will be treated with a lot of criticism.
These guys like it.
Well, I certainly wasn't prepared to talk blowout here in the first half.
No, not at all.
And hopefully it will materialize into a more equitable matchup. Still plenty of time left in the contest, well over a half.
I expect to see at least more urgency in attack, more players coming forward for the Germans. I think at this point, they'd like to just get to the half where they can collect themselves.
Another chance. Punched away. And Köpke will control after the run through by Valdeir.
Another illustration, though, of Brazil's timing on their runs and on their passes. That ball played exactly at the instant that Valdeir exploded, and therefore he's still onside. Not called offside because the ball's played at the correct time, right as he's taking off.
Elivélton now got around Effenberg. And pulled down for the foul. He's fun to watch, Elivélton.
I'll tell you what, and Effenberg has his hands full down this side, as did Fernando Clavijo the other day for the U.S. team, because Elivélton's got so many tricks. Look at this one. He's got Effenberg going one direction, 100 miles an hour, and he stops the ball on a dime. Effenberg can do nothing else but foul him.
21-year-old Elivélton. Now Branco from the free kick. Well within his range and just high. And you saw the inward bend of that ball off his deft left foot.
This has turned into a training exercise for Brazilian set pieces. Branco getting plenty of practice here, firing it just over and around the German wall. And see the spin on the ball. It'll start to dip. It did not dip soon enough on that one.
Nearing the end of the first half here at RFK Stadium in Brazil, in Washington, and Brazil dominating.
It feels like Brazil.
We do get the whistle to indicate halftime, and it has been an opening 45 minutes dominated by Careca and the Brazilians. Halftime here at US Cup 93, and it's Brazil 3, the defending World Cup champions, Germany, no score. An extremely impressive performance by Brazil in the opening 45 minutes.
And really, you could say in some ways a surprising one. Not entirely, because Brazil is capable of this type of attacking soccer. They're known for it, in fact. We've just not seen enough of it over the last few years. But what's more surprising is the fact that the Germans have not been able to counteract it in a better fashion in terms of their organization at defense.
Well, Brazil putting on a great show here as they did against the United States. The United States has another game remaining in this US Cup 93. It's coming up at Soldier Field in Chicago on Sunday. But that's after the England-Brazil game, which will be right back here on the same day. And then the final game to wrap things up, Germany against England, the first ever indoor game played between those two teams and in U.S. Cup history. Coming up, we will have halftime highlights, but before that, we will visit with the one and only Pele as we continue with our coverage of U.S. Cup 93.
Through balls and timing of runs. Here's Rai getting the ball from Dunga and then placing it into the space behind Effenberg for the on-rushing Elivélton, who barely keeps his balance here. He's then tackled, but Luisinho gets there early, drives it across the front of the net, goes off the German defender Helmer's leg. And then there's a chance for Germany. One of the few that they had the entire game. Effenberg coming all the way down the right side. He beats Taffarel here, and Klinsmann just misses it. Really should have had that one because it was a wide open net.
Then we had a situation that resulted in a penalty kick for the Brazilians, and This will be the initial foul that created the penalty kick.
Another through ball, and again it's Elivélton sprinting through some space in the German defense. Elivélton here takes the hit from Helmer, so a bad day really for Helmer. He put it in his own goal. Now he causes a penalty. The third goal for Brazil here, beautifully set up by Careca to the onrushing Luisinho, who takes a little bit wider angle of the goal, fakes once to get Köpke out of position, and then puts it away into the far side of the net. 3-0 for Brazil, total domination. Look at the combination work at midfield to set up the chance before Dunga plays it through into Careca. Careca sliding it so nicely to Luisinho. And this is the story right here. The Brazilians just all over Germany.
If there's anything as classic Brazilian soccer, perhaps the playmaking on that last goal captured it best. And Brazil dominating here at halftime, 3-0. Look at the shots, 12 for Brazil to just 3 for Germany.
We saw it, and the only times that Germany even looked somewhat organized is when they were able to just hold the ball a bit at midfield. They were not able to penetrate the Brazilian defense. On the other hand, they were like Swiss cheese at the back.
This past Sunday, the Brazilians outshot the United States 12-4, but that was through an entire game, so they've already, against this strong German defense, duplicated their total shot total against the U.S. in just one half.
The type of soccer that Brazil has always been known for, the type that all these fans have come out to see, because wherever Brazil goes, they have a huge following. People love their style of play, the joy that they bring to the game, and the artistry that they bring to the game. As we saw, as you mentioned, the third goal, that little build-up, a couple flicks at midfield before the ball's played through and flicked on by Careca to Luisinho.
They often become the adopted team of choice at World Cup time for those people whose countries aren't in the World Cup either or have been eliminated just because of their tremendously entertaining style, and they've shown us every facet of it here just through the 45 minutes. Everything from Careca's sideline dribbling show to some brilliant goals. And now the Germans must try and cut in to what seems like an insurmountable lead, considering the way Brazil has played.
They have injected Karl-Heinz Riedle into their lineup, number 9, who will run up top with Klinsmann, and that is to add some spark to their attack. He's a known goal scorer. He plays in the Italian First Division, and he's considered to be one of the best headers of the ball on goal in all of Europe.
So Riedle takes the place of the 23-year-old Christian Ziege. And now here's Klinsmann. Möller off to the side. Zorc now controlling for Germany. Teams obviously changing ends at halftime as a poorly measured attempt there by number 4 for Germany, Kohler.
Ziege is still in, number 17. I believe it's Sammer who has left the game. So they've pushed a few players around into new positions. Ziege dropping back more as a midfield role as Riedle has gone up.
But essentially, with 3 pure forward-type players as we get an offside on Brazil. There was number 11, Elivélton, who put on such a first-half show.
Yes, definitely a more offensive type setup by the Germans in bringing Riedle on.
The U.S. knows well about Elivélton. Last year in a game between the two teams in which Italy beat the USA 4-0, Elivélton scored 2 goals. Stefan Effenberg for Germany. Back for Köpke. And Köpke's been really offered very little chance to show his stuff, as all the Brazilian goals have been, from his standpoint, virtually unstoppable, unless, of course, he guesses right on the penalty. Taffarel now sending it back the other way. Wanted Valdeir. And now a foul called against Germany. Buchwald in the vicinity along with Ziege. And a free kick coming now for Brazil from the right side.
Careca trying to burst through the German defense. He's basically sandwiched out of the play.
Matthäus on the steal. I can't even remember Matthäus with possession for much in that whole first half. Ball through. Far post chance for the Brazilians, and Effenberg that time gets the job done. But again, they go to his side.
And you know who's lurking back there is Elivélton, who we just mentioned. Great quickness shown initially, bursting through by Valdeir. We see him breaking through. Now, whether he's shooting this or he's just making sure he gets it to the opposite side, either or. But you see Effenberg about to slide to clear it away. If he doesn't slide, and you'll see it better from this angle, if Effenberg doesn't get a foot to it, Elivélton's there to close it in and put it away.
Now the corner. Branco. And headed out. So the Brazilians keep on coming on here to start the second half as well.
Yeah, you wouldn't expect them to try and drop into a defensive shell after all the success they had in the first half. Some teams might, really, in fear of the Germans or in respect of the Germans. Hey, we've got 3 goals. Let's just try and put this baby on ice. But that's not the case, and it wouldn't suit the Brazilians, their whole approach to the game, their whole design of their play. Here's the chance, and again, the well-timed pass in behind the German defense for Valdeir to run onto. Now he cuts the ball all the way across the top of the 6-yard box. There's some open space there. Elivélton racing for it, but Effenberg did recover on the slide.
3-0 Brazil. We're early second half. And here they come again. Valdeir moving to the box. This push wide. And Ziege, you're right, Ty, in your assessment of his dropping back, is there on the defensive side. And he's almost dropped all the way back.
They push Möller up on the other. They're alternating, I think, on the weak side. You either have Möller coming up in support of the forwards, or Ziege, depending on which side of the field is on. Basically trying to get at least 3 or 4 players into attack.
Dunga to Valdeir. With Elivélton on his left, trying to get through that closing defense, and the Germans playing it a little tighter to the vest now in the back. That time he drew triple coverage.
But the German defenders definitely having no fun trying to track down those types of runs. Having difficulty, in fact, with the Brazilian speed and quickness.
Raí, who has really not been an integral part of things so far in the match. It's been predominantly the work of Careca,
Elivélton, Luisinho. Dunga to some degree.
Here is Raí, 21. A push on the back, and then he is brought down for a foul. Zorc administering the punishment.
There's Raí. A tall player, especially by Brazilian standards, as was his brother Socrates. Highly educated people, all of them. But family, Socrates, a pediatrician.
Raí at 6'2".
Yes, not to be confused with the philosopher Socrates,
who also was well educated.
Watching Careca play today, it's obvious to me that he really doesn't have the straight-ahead type of speed that we saw him in years past as a younger player. But he still has the quickness of thought, the craftiness, the guile. It's more than making up for it. Now he's able to use the speed of the guys around him, like that flick through to Luisinho or balls placed through to Elivélton. So he's found a little bit different role, but he's just as valuable to the Brazilian team.
Lothar Matthäus out for Effenberg on the far wing. And it's cleared out for goal kick. Matthäus, the subject of a recent article in People magazine where he was named one of the 50 most beautiful people in the world. And I asked him about that yesterday at training, and he says, well, that's great and it's real nice for me, but he says, as long as my wife thinks I'm beautiful. Truly the family man as you look at
and diplomat
Lothar Matthäus, and he's very aware of the fact that the American media will look at him as a superstar to build up leading up to the World Cup. He has certainly been a superstar for Germany, their most valuable player at World Cup 90. He's been a German and Italian club champ with his team Bayern Munich and Inter Milan, and he's really a consummate superstar in this sport.
We saw there how on the far side Andy Möller is pushing up into attack as well, trying to support Klinsmann and Riedle. We'll see Ziege do it here on the near side. A different setup definitely by the Germans, not one that's really bearing much fruit at the moment. They've not had any strong chances at Taffarel in the half.
Ziege back through the middle for Zorc. Now he looks for Effenberg, who again pushes up. And a little miscommunication there between Effenberg and Möller. And the Brazilians will recover. Rai almost giving it away.
What the Brazilians will try to do more and more as the half goes along is just keep the ball. In other words, make the Germans chase. Obviously, if the Germans don't have the ball, they can't score. The Brazilians so good at that possession-style game.
Karl-Heinz Riedle trying to get it clear for a shot. Riedle coming on to start the second half, and we fully expected him to start the game. No foul given there as Branco is upended, but possession still with Brazil. Rai with moderate pressure.
And also in no real hurry to go forward. They are in possession of a commanding lead.
Careca all the way back at the midfield line, pushing into his defense. Now Rai pushing forward, filling the spot left free by Careca, and he is
using some of his size too there and contesting that ball.
Look at Careca, the Brazilian head coach, in his second stint as coach of this team. And Dunga tees one up that's blocked by Matthäus. Back through it comes, and Matthäus now on the defensive side gets himself into trouble inside the 18-yard box, but fortunately for him is able to recover and then is fouled. Well, you don't want to get too tricky and fancy up there near the edge of the area as Bertie Vogts looks on. And you look, of course, for a Matthäus to try and take control in a game like this, but it's awfully difficult.
You see the tug on the shorts there by Luisinho to bring down Matthäus, but that's the first time we've seen Matthäus this entire game show us some of his burst of speed that he possesses, his change of pace. If they're going to be effective at all in the attack, and particularly through midfield, Matthäus is going to need to take charge and try and burst through using that attribute that he does have, his ability to really burst through with a change of pace.
Well, I don't care who you are. Coming off a major knee injury such as Matthäus suffered, there's got to be some hesitation, and one has to allow that player some time to return to 100% form, and I suspect Matthäus hasn't quite, as he shoots one that's rather routinely picked up by Taffarel.
Things just not going well in general for the German team right now. Looking for confidence.
Thomas Strunz warming up for the Germans. A possible second substitution coming from Bertie Vogts. Köpke has Riedle, but it's cleared from him.
Yeah, this has to be killing Bertie Vogts. He was such an intense, spirited player himself. Really overshadowed in his era by players like Beckenbauer, Gerd Müller, even Wolfgang Overath, Rainer Bonhoff. Guys that had all the skill and touch on the ball, but it was the determination of a player like Bertie Vogts that was a large part of the success of the German team in the mid-70s.
Möller losing it. Ziege getting it back. But Careca will control it at midfield. 3-0 Brazil leading. Careca to Valdeir. Waits for support back for Careca, but it's wide. And Effenberg will win the race.
I like watching how Valdeir then on the full run was able to make such a good first touch and keep that ball in close control, even though Kohler was on his back. And the Brazilians possess that kind of skill to play at that speed and still keep the ball under close control.
Matthäus looking for Riedle. Two defenders around him, yet he still tries to make the best of it and gets possession back. Ziege finds a wet spot on the turf, or at least a slippery one, and loses possession as it comes out. Now a rare free kick. Now they're going to change it and give it free kick, throw in for Germany. Germans were asking for a foul. And now the substitution that we thought might happen, and indeed it is. Coming out for Germany, Michael Zorc, and coming in, number 19, Thomas Strunz. Strunz from Stuttgart. This is only his 4th appearance for Germany. And there's Zorc getting some refreshment now, and the replacement of bodily fluids very critical in a situation such as today. If you've joined us late, temperature at kickoff 93 degrees Fahrenheit, 35 Celsius, and a relative humidity well into the 70s.
really, honestly speaking, more difficult conditions for the Germans to deal with than for the Brazilians to deal with. Something they're more used to, heat and humidity. Because it's tropical out there. No question.
Zorc comes out in this game against Brazil, the team against which he made his German debut, as we mentioned, back in December at Porto Alegre, where the Brazilians put a 3-1 licking on the Germans, who admittedly played horribly, and I wonder how they'll review themselves after today.
It's a bad trend, isn't it, for the defending World Cup champions?
Strunz, some nice stuff down the wing, but then a somewhat blind cross to the box, so the effort certainly
really don't
worth it after that.
Don't discount the result of this game in terms of how it might affect these two teams down the road. I think it's from a psychological standpoint, when they come to the United States next June, the fact that Brazil's been able to dominate like this could affect how the World Cup turns out. But here's some determination by the Germans, trying to just get back in the game, get a goal down the right side, using their substitutions well. That was Strunz.
Helmer clearing it back for Köpke, as the Brazilian fans have much to cheer about here today. And boy, Ty, does this ever set up an interesting game. These two teams will play one more time this year on November 17th in Cologne, Germany. And after losing 2 straight games to Brazil, 1 there and 1 in a neutral site here, there's going to be an awful lot of pressure at home on the Germans to come up with a better result.
Well, I think from a personal standpoint, each and every one of these players have something to prove. Aside from representing their country, they don't like getting beaten like this. They want to turn it around. These are guys that are all in competition for big European and Italian league contracts. And their performances in a game like this can factor in on those situations.
You always watch with interest what a team does after a loss. And the last time these teams played and Germany lost by the 3-1 score, they went out and beat Scotland 1-0, which wasn't that impressive. Then they blew out the African team Ghana 6-1. So there was a little anger in their step after the loss. Chance for Brazil. And a foul up at the edge of the box. Chance for the Germans, rather.
But perhaps the best attack we've seen today, with Matthäus bursting through midfield, beating 2 players on the dribble, and then playing the ball forward.
Riedle down and hurt.
Into Riedle, and Klinsmann was onto that ball as well. We see Riedle trying to bring it down, and he's nailed from behind and jumped upon by Márcio Santos. Júlio César was there to cover too. It was a foul.
But at the outside area of the 18-yard box.
Definitely outside the box, and we see racing back. See, there's the elbow and shoulder of Márcio Santos going into the side of the face of Riedle, and he hits hard.
And now the free kick for Germany, and it will be from great position, 18.5 yards out. And this is where they miss Thomas Hassler, their best free kick artist. He is not with them, back in Europe with his club, and this is an opportunity that you know he would be behind the ball on.
This is the kind of ball he was able to put in during the European Championship 1 year ago to win a game. And he's busy, of course, with Roma in the Italian Cup final, and he's not available to the German team today.
So if they're missing players, he is, at this moment, the most critical of the 3 that are not here. Möller lines up behind the ball. Matthäus over it. Now Matthäus wants more time.
He wants 10 yards, too.
Matthäus still arguing his case. The referee says play on.
Now he wants a yellow card now, really, for Branco. He's got a shoving match going along.
Inside the wall, Riedle and one of the defenders pushing up. Now Effenberg comes in and throws an elbow. And the German temper starting to flare, and now the referee's going to take control here.
He's going to have to.
Branco is going to see the yellow card from Arturo Angelis, the American referee.
Just angling for position. Actually, he was bumped initially by Effenberg. Now he steps back into him, trying to act the innocent, but something had to be done there.
And it continues inside the wall.
You think these guys don't care about this game?
Shot by Möller, blocked by the wall. And Matthäus is furious as he gestures back toward Angelis, the referee. And it's still 3-0.
They are entitled to 10 yards. They rarely get it.
comes out off Ziege.
But think about it, Randy. This game, for all intents and purposes, could be over. It's 3-0, but these guys still, they're fighting over 1 inch of turf here. Her position looks like the NBA under the basket.
Anthony Mason against Horace Grant wasn't that physical. And Matthäus still talking things over, and obviously the frustration of the Germans showing in that situation as well.
And as the captain, it is Matthäus' prerogative to make his opinion known to the referee to a degree. He needs to ask him a question.
3-0 Brazil leads. We are in the second half. Unofficially 27 minutes left as the offside flag comes up with Strunz retreating back on defense. And when the chances have been few and far between for Germany as they have been today, you want to make the best of that free kick, and they certainly were unable to there. Despite the pleading of Matthäus, the referee really didn't give him that much consideration.
The Brazilians also very good at frustrating the Germans here. As we've been seeing through the second half, for the Brazilians really attacking less, not breaking through as much as they did, but still always keeping the game in complete control. It is still pretty much in their control. They're doing other things well without having to go forward as much as they did in the first half.
The band playing on here, they're among the bravest in this heat. Cleared back into the German half by Márcio Santos. Searching ball intended for Karl-Heinz Riedle and sent out for the throw-in. And treatment on the side for number 17. Cafu warming up, getting a stretch from the trainer. He came in as a substitute against the United States as well. And he's an outstanding quality player for Brazil. And they will bring him in for some defensive support.
Another player from Sao Paulo. He plays alongside Rai in the Brazilian leagues. He's well thought of. In fact, he's a player I expected to start today.
Cafu came in for Elivélton late in the match against the United States when, at that time, Brazil was leading 1-0. So they removed an attacker and replaced him with a defender. We'll watch with interest to see what they do here as Klinsmann is unsuccessful on the attack. Ziege. So for Klinsmann.
It's a goal for Germany, but Klinsmann visibly limping. It may have been an expensive goal for them in that it may not change the result of this game, the overall result. Klinsmann in obvious pain coming to the sideline. But finally the Germans were able to break through. Here's the steal by Ziege, and now he dribbles across and slots a beautiful ball through the entire Brazilian defense. Klinsmann racing to it, slipping it through Taffarel's legs, in fact. But I think as he slipped it through, he collided with perhaps the bottom of the shoe of Taffarel. There it is, the ball plays through. No offside. Klinsmann's through. Now Taffarel, they slide into each other, and I think that's where Klinsmann took the knock.
One more look as Ziege, the 23-year-old in his first game, feeds the veteran goal scorer, and Klinsmann showing his tremendous foot skills there.
And his speed to get to the ball.
Right now, Klinsmann is down on the field at midfield receiving treatment, and Germany down a man for the time being. And now Karl-Heinz Riedle is down. There's Klinsmann getting a little refreshment as well.
I think that's the main idea there. To get some fluids back in him. So maybe he can come up with another performance, as we will see here as Ziege, the young player making his debut, just slots the ball through a very small hole in the Brazilian defense, and Klinsmann, using the outside of the right foot, is able to slip it through the legs of an on-rushing Taffarel.
Klinsmann returns as he has just netted his 14th goal for Germany, and this is 49th match, so he'll reach the half-century mark against the U.S. Sunday. That man, Lothar Matthäus, will play in his 100th match against the U.S. on Sunday at Soldier Field.
And he's approaching the great Franz Beckenbauer as far as overall games for Germany. He's very near to overtaking Beckenbauer, who is the all-time leader for the German team.
Taffarel, as you look at Careca, talking things over with Cafu, who was preparing to come on, and one would suspect that those were last-minute instructions as Cafu comes back out and gets ready to come on as Ziege is back and pulled and fouled, and it'll go Germany's way as Luisinho is called. Luisinho with 2 of the 3 Brazilian goals today, the other coming off the penalty kick from Careca.
Ziege, a good steal really to set the goal up. Initially he won the ball just outside the area before he put it through to Klinsmann. Not bad for a first-time player.
Effenberg up with Rai. Rai kicking it into the face with the dangerous play, and now they're going to call the foul against Germany. And
he either is going to call a handball or the fact that the German player jumped in when it rebounds off him. There's the loose ball. And see, he bumps into Rai, and the ball either hit him on the shoulder or he played Rai with his shoulder. That's a close call there. I didn't see any real contact to speak of, or really any deliberateness to the fact that the ball may have hit him in the arm.
Brazil on the attack, and the Germans have had the better of the play in the last 15 minutes or so. Now Elivélton. Good skills. Slow ball through, and handled by Köpke. As Elmer has now come in for Brazil, number 16.
He entered at the goal just before the center off after Klinsmann's goal.
3-1 Brazil leading here in US Cup 93. 14th ever meeting between these two countries. Germany's won only 2 of them. The Brazilians have won 8 of the matches prior to this one. 3 have resulted in ties. Right now, the Germans would be happy with a tie. 3-1 they trail. Branco on the far side, upended by Ziege. There's Andreas Möller, number 7 for Germany. Always such an important part of their attack, but he has been stifled today by, I don't know if it's so much Brazil's defense as much as it's been, Ty, their domination offensively as Cafu comes on now to replace Elivélton, the same substitution that Careca made.
But you're right in that Möller is a type of player to be effective, needs to have the ball. But look at the whole first half. Brazil had the ball. They had 12 shots. They were dominating totally. So you lose some of the effectiveness of a player like either one of them. Möller or Matthäus.
Now an injured German in the box. It is Ziege. And he's favoring his left wrist. And that likely won't keep him out of the rest of the match. Well, there are some scattered in the crowd here, German fans, but it has been decidedly a Brazilian flavor to the atmosphere here today. And they have certainly given those people back all the entertainment that they paid for with a 3-1 lead.
Well, 2 of the more exciting performers on this game for Brazil have gone off the field. Now, Elivélton as well as Valdir. We've got some new guys in there. We see the foul situation where Ziege was pulled down and pretty much mistreated.
He injured himself bracing his fall. This will be one of the World Cup sites in 1994, RFK Stadium here in Washington. And this has also been the site of, I guess we could call it perhaps the most thrilling American soccer victory since 1950 when they beat England in the World Cup, or maybe the biggest since last night when the United States beat England. But that was the 3-1 win over Ireland in last year's U.S. Cup in a pouring rain when some great goals were scored. The one that comes to mind was Thomas Dooley's finish of a Roy Wegerle pass. And now it's back into the German half as they are in a hurry now to try and get back in. 18 minutes to go unofficially here in the second half with Brazil up 3-1.
And different from World Cup matches in U.S. Cup competition here in 93, only 3 substitutions allowed for each team. It's 2 in World Cup competition. And in addition to the 3 in this tournament, you can also change the goalkeeper.
So really 4 substitutions allowed.
As long as one of them's a goalkeeper.
Jorginho sneaked up the right side, but getting back for Germany is Kohler. And now Kohler losing it to Careca, but there's a foul. I mentioned this will be a World Cup site in 94. They will have 4 first-round games here, and then 1 game in the round of 16. They've done about $1 million worth of renovations to the stadium already, most of it in the locker room areas, because this is one of the stadia in the United States that really didn't need much in the way of major renovation, as opposed to somewhere like Soldier Field, where they're spending considerably more money. This, of course, is also home of the NFL's Washington Redskins, so this building has housed top-notch sports for quite some time, and there'll be huge crowds here at the World Cup. But can you imagine? The Redskins have sold every game out in this building since 1966. A tremendous streak, and the World Cup will no doubt keep that intact by selling out all the games here in the nation's capital. It would seem almost a certainty that that will happen. Matthäus, and he's getting no support from his fellow midfielders, as the life seems to have gone out of the German step somewhat.
And really, they just seem to be disjointed. Not much coordination to their efforts.
Effenberg crossing for Riedle. Well, this will be an interesting game, Ty. On Sunday, here at RFK, England coming off that shocking loss to the United States against this Brazilian team that is, what else can you call them, red hot.
Brazil looking strong. England still looking for answers or even clues.
Ziege now leaving. And coming on for Germany, number 14, Michael Schulz. Sammer, check that. Möller, far side, trying to hold it in. But the Brazilians have it again. Offside flag comes up as the Brazilians keep on coming for more. And there's some treatment over on the sideline for Ziege.
The Brazilians, though, especially their fans, won't be totally happy unless they see another goal for their team in the yellow shirts.
Chance for Germany, but the offside flag up again. Those who didn't see the flag wanted a penalty call, but that infraction or contact was well after the linesman looked at the offside flag. Ziege getting a wrap on his left wrist. Now this puts an interesting spin on the U.S.-Germany game now Sunday as well. The Germans coming off quite a beating by their standards against this Brazilian team. The U.S. coming off the thrill of a win over Germany. And that will be coming up on Sunday. 1 o'clock Eastern, noon in the Chicago area at Soldier Field. The U.S. against Germany in their first ever meeting. And it should be an outstanding matchup. It's also an opportunity for the Germans to play on the same field that they will open World Cup '94 on June 17th of 1994.
As defending champions, they play the opening game. They are automatic qualifiers, as is the host country, the United States. Dunga not happy with that call, but he's put in a lot of work today. He's a battler at midfield, just stirring things up for the Brazilians.
A free kick from this range, certainly a scoreable opportunity, if you will. Germany scores here. It gets interesting for the last 15 minutes.
I'd like to see it, frankly.
And again, Matthäus talking to the linesman on the far side, and he's surveying the situation, looks back at the clock. It's unofficial time on the clock, under 14 minutes.
Some of this is gamesmanship, just trying to outguess the other team. The battle going on again in the wall. Júlio César may have met his match in terms of size. I don't know about strength. Michael Schulz, 6'5".
Shot through, but wide. As Möller misses by a good 5 to 10 yards.
As we look at Michael Schulz, 6'5", 194 pounds.
Taffarel setting for the goal kick now. And this is Careca. Settling it for Luisinho. Jorginho with it. Dunga.
Number 2 for Brazil, Jorginho. You just mentioned his name. Plays for Bayern Munich. He converse with these guys in German.
Elfmeter looking to control it in the box, and it's cleared out for corner kick Brazil.
So what do you think Jorginho has said to the German players in those wall tussles? Got a few words for him, perhaps.
I wonder, I would suspect he speaks better German than they speak Portuguese.
Almir, number 16, played at Santos when Desmond Armstrong went down there for part of the season to get some experience. They became good friends. In fact, they traded jerseys at the end of the Brazil-USA game the other day.
Now Branco on the corner kick. Wanted Careca, but it's cleared out. Now Andreas Möller for Germany. And he is brought down at midfield. And it will be a yellow card.
That's what we've come to see and really expect from Möller, those bursts through midfield, and he played the ball through even as he was fouled, and Klinsmann nearly got onto, but the whistle did blow for the yellow card. There's Möller. He's splitting the Brazilian midfield and defense, and he's just taken out in a big way, and that's a NHL-style hip check in my book.
So Dunga is booked for Brazil. Second yellow card of the game. Both have gone to the Brazilians. The other one after that tussle on a free kick about 15 minutes ago.
In this tournament, if you collect 2 yellow cards overall, you miss the next game.
Germany trailing 3-1. Just over 10 minutes left on the stadium clock here at RFK. Jorginho heading it down. Back to Schulz. Schulz keeping it alive. Riedle up. Loose chance. Möller, open net. Score! In the 79th minute, Andreas Möller makes it a game again. It's 3-2.
And it has become a different game. The Germans just really trying to send the ball up high, use some of their height advantage. The attack here really looked to break down, but the deflection is in their favor. Look at Riedle, he's so good in the air. He kept the play alive, and then Möller stuffs it into the opposite side. Taffarel diving after it, not getting there or not able to reach far enough to bring it out.
I believe Taffarel got a touch of the ball. Let's look again.
We'll have a better angle here. There's Riedle. He really causes the goal by contesting the ball with Taffarel, and he did. The touch on the left hand of Taffarel was not enough to keep it out of the net. He just changed the direction of it a bit. Look at Riedle. That's some courage to be able to go in on that type of situation. Goalkeeper fisting the ball, and coolly to the other side. He knows Taffarel cannot get there, at least not fully outstretched. And it's a 3-2 ball game.
Almost a missed kick by Schulz, and then the fortunate bounce back to him.
Right, and if Riedle's not there, Taffarel probably just collects the ball, scoops it in, and holds it.
Well, this changes everything. Still 9 minutes to go. Here come the Germans again. Strunz on the right side.
Well, to their credit, the Germans really like the English, known for never quitting, fighting, battling, and they got back into this game.
Schulz for Riedle. He'll play it for the corner kick. And the experience of Karl-Heinz Riedle deep against Júlio César. And now the Germans with a chance to tie from the dead ball. They spent a lot of time working on these corner kicks yesterday, did the Germans. Pressure over the ball.
Pressure mounting here. This is a dangerous situation. We're underneath less than 10 minutes left in the game.
The snipers, as in Karl-Heinz Riedle and Klinsmann, playing well back in the box as Nonato comes on for Brazil. In swinger, bobble, off the crossbar.
A foul called in the confusion there. And there's Schulz. He caused all the problems just by being 6'5" there. Put the ball off the crossbar. Taffarel having a problem dealing with Schultz's height. The in-swinging corner by Möller, and there's Taffarel. He goes up, he doesn't get it. In fact, Schulz gets his head to it first, and there's the ball off the bar, but I believe the foul had already been called because Schulz backed into Taffarel.
Back come Brazil. Elfmeter trying to feed it through for Luisinho. Now Jorginho wide. Kept in on the far side. The Germans contend here to let Brazil fire away unchallenged. But of course, the Germans are also forced to cheat upfield a little bit.
That and maybe conserve their energy for the next attack.
There comes Brazil Elfmeter. Just wide, as Köpke was waving at him. Under 7 minutes unofficially. 3-2 Brazil leading. Möller again. Now Matthäus. Lovely pass for Möller, who makes the perfect run. Effenberg. Good defense by the forward. Elmer from behind. And now the Brazilians come forward. Careca. Elfmeter turns, plays it wide. Check that, it was Cafu. And Cafu will ask back for it. Helmer forcing things as the Brazilians will take a throw in, and their supporters somewhat more subdued here with the result in question here in the last 10 minutes. Rai, who has yet to show us his promising form today. Dunga, the recipient of a hard tackle there by Buchwald as play continues. Cafu losing it momentarily to Möller. And Möller has really emerged high here in the second half as the galvanizing force for the Germans. Cafu tried the half volley left foot, but a weak one, easily handled.
And Andy Möller definitely pushing forward, making runs into the corners, trying to open up the Brazilian defense. Matthäus doing a better job, as we just saw a minute ago, finding him on those runs.
Now Rai with Luisinho and Careca. And Careca falls. Effenberg for Germany. Looks long for Riedle, but this will come right to Taffarel. A thrilling finish here. Dunga spreading the field wide to the left. But not to there. Now Cafu with space. The Brazilians retreat as César, keeping it away from the onrushing Riedle. Effenberg bumps Rai on his way back. Rai after it, but lifted away. Möller, Matthäus, lovely one touch. Möller settling it right side. Schulz cannot handle the cross from midfield. Today's Adidas man of the match is Luisinho from Brazil. Congratulations from Adidas to Luisinho for his outstanding performance in this match of US Cup '93.
Luisinho with 2 goals today and a great deal of work at midfield too, supplementing the work of Dunga.
Stadium clock reads a little over 3 minutes. There was some injury time. Möller, a little flick up for Riedle. And throw it. The young Brazilian supporter here at RFK Stadium in Washington, D.C. It looked through the first half like a complete blowout, 3-0. Now as Taffarel snares the throw-in. It is a one-goal game, 3-2. Matthäus settles it now for Germany. Receives it back. Wide left side. Elfmeter. Luisinho. Defense tightening up for Germany. And now the possession change, or almost, as Klinsmann had it very near it. Schulz for Germany to throw it back in. Here's Lothar Matthäus, the captain of the German team. Their motivational leader. And this is the time where they need that leadership. Strunz for Germany. Battling on the far side with Cafu, and it will come to the Germans. So with time running down here, the Germans penning it inside the Brazilian end. As we look onto the Brazilian bench and their head coach, Careca. A seemingly insurmountable score has changed here in the second half as the Germans have come back. Officially into the last minute here as it comes back to Matthäus. Effenberg must hurry. Schulz will play it for the throw-in. And how ominous Klinsmann's early miss seems now. Schulz throwing it in. Taffarel running into his own defender, Júlio César. One man back for Germany, but a beautifully done job by Jürgen Kohler. Now Köpke up for Kohler as the Germans, it seems, must score here on this next trip down. And this will go back to them on the near side throw. Executed header on the throw-in from Schulz. And Klinsmann, with his second goal of this match, electrifies this huge crowd here at RFK. Schulz with the throw, misplayed by the Brazilian defense, and Klinsmann, the great goal scorer such as he is, able to head it over and pass Taffarel. Unofficially, this is in the 89th minute. And what a turn here in the second half, and a brilliant third game here at US Cup 93. And now the Brazilians come back as Cafu goes deep. A 3-0 deficit, and the way Brazil dominated, a seemingly insurmountable deficit has been erased by that man. The star from AS Monaco now in the French First Division, and a star today in his homeland of Germany, Jürgen Klinsmann. And you can change all the headlines. Klinsmann for his German team. And now the Brazilians with a free kick opportunity outside the box. The stadium clock is off. We are on the officials' watch. Márcio Santos. Rai back through for Santos. As Jorginho takes a dive onto the ball. And a curious choice there by the Brazilian Santos. And the whistle to indicate the end of this game. The match is over, and Jürgen Klinsmann is the hero of the day. 2 second-half goals, and the Germans come back from what seemed to be an insurmountable 3-0 deficit, and they leave with a point. So Klinsmann and the Germans go into their game against the United States uplifted. The final score here today at RFK Stadium in the nation's capital, Germany 3, Brazil 3.